I will tell you, like, I've already had moments of just like, oh, why did I do this? Right.
Mm-hmm.
Struggles and frustration because
Yep.
there's a learning curve to
Oh yeah.
it.
Oh
But
yeah.
I've also had the moments of, oh my gosh, why didn't I do this a long time ago?
Hey Siri, what does jMac fix?
jMac fixes everything.
Coming to you from the Owl's Nest Studios in Portland, Oregon, it's jMac Fixes Everything, where we answer your tech questions and discuss all things Apple. For valuable, actionable, real-world Apple advice that you can count on, look no further than jMac Fixes Everything. Now here's your hosts, Jamie Pollock and Audrey Isbell.
Hey everybody, welcome. This is Jamie with Royal Wise. I'm super excited today because I am going to be doing a small interview. We're starting a new, I don't know what you'd call it. Everybody, this is Audrey. Audrey, say hi to everybody.
Hi, everybody.
And so we're not sure what we're going to call this yet. Not sure if it's going to be a podcast or a webinar or a web series or an I don't know what, but we're calling it the Switcher or something like that. So we're going to have some conversations and we're going to start talking about switching from, Audrey, what did you just do?
Android to Apple.
Switching from a Windows platform or an Android platform and sneaking into the Apple universe. And what are the concerns? What do we run into? What do we need to learn? All those kinds of things. So let me start off with just asking you. I know when we first started this conversation, you used the phrase peer pressure.
So much peer pressure.
You were feeling like there was peer pressure in your life. And I'm going to go ahead and tell anybody watching, Audrey is an employee of Royal Wise. She does work with us here at Royal Wise. And of course, we're a QuickBooks and Apple company. We all use Apple products and we support Apple and QuickBooks. We also support Microsoft Office. We're not anti-Microsoft. We use some Microsoft products and support and train on some Microsoft products, but we aren't Windows people. We don't know the Windows operating system. And so tell me about, and so I know there's like, when you work with us, you feel like there's a little bit of peer pressure just. And I don't think it's like peer pressure. I think it's just like platform pressure that we're trying to
There's a lot of layers to this. I'm like an onion, man. You just gotta start
why don't you give us your perspective on is it work? Is it personal? What is it? Where did all that come from?
Well, I mean, a lot of it is, gosh, I've been Android and Microsoft for years and years and years. I had owned a business prior and, it was simple at that time to keep with what I knew. And, definitely didn't want to cut myself off at the knees while operating a business and suddenly have this issue of I don't know my tech and therefore I can't support people. Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Fast forward, several more years and, now being employed with Royal Wise and being able to kind of see the need that Royal Wise really operates and, you teach Apple, so I'm like, okay, how can I really kind of improve my knowledge base, my skill set to be able to lend aid and support if I'm not even on the same kind of platform. And if you want to look at it that way.
Well, take advantage of it, right?
Totally. You want to be valuable to the people that you support. That's how I've always felt about it. And
let me ask you a question there. Ask you a question because I know it wasn't all Royal Wise. That's not where all the pressure was coming. I feel like, is there any personal stuff going on? Any personal pressure?
Yeah. My husband has been an Apple user for a couple of years now. And and so there's also, the argument of I can't even ask him for a charging cable or anything like that. We're totally different animals in our household. Sharing photos,
all sorts of things.
None of that.
Come into play. I don't know if you've heard some of the thing because I help people switch from Android or Windows over to Apple all the time, and one of the things that I kind of joke about or what I say to people is if you go apples to apples, I can make it work and I can promise it's going to work over time. But you go apples to oranges, and I might be able to make it work, and I can't guarantee it's going to work over time. I once had a client who was really upset because she was using a Gmail account inside of Microsoft Outlook on her Apple computer, and she's like, why isn't this working? I'm like, how many different companies do you want to get into bed together, think they're going to all, once you got to make sure your cross-platform stuff works. And I think for the family, Apple does focus on providing that universe where it's family sharing now, and you can share purchases, and they can give you a shared photo album, they can give you a shared calendar, they can give you kind of all these things to make family
Did you
productivity.
just say Apple Universe?
The Apple dun dun dun.
I mean, like the Star Wars universe.
Right, it's like like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This is the Appleverse.
Awesome. The Appleverse.
The Appleverse. Right?
I like it.
And even I'm just going to say this real quick because I don't know if you are in the know on this or whatever, but it's something that I've reported on, but we're going to be training on it come the winter time, is that Apple's actually coming up with an iCloud family photo library. And not just
I love that.
not just a shared album, not just an album that you're sharing, but like you'd have your personal iCloud photo library, and then you'd have your family iCloud photo library, and you can have all the different people in the family share, contribute to it, edit it, see what everybody else is doing. But it's going to be an actual group communal photo library in the cloud.
That's awesome.
Isn't that wild?
That is awesome. Yes, my son and my grandchildren are down in Nevada, and so that would be fantastic. Would love to just not have to log into Facebook, to see what's going on with it.
I'll tell you, the text messaging, people text messaging videos and photos to each other. When I'm working with iPhones or people that are like, I'm out of hard drive space or my phone's full or my computer's full, half the time I look and I'm like, well, you've got 10 gigs of stuff in your messages application because you're text messaging photos and not deleting them out of there. You're just letting the thread grow and grow and grow. And it's like, I think I was in somebody's, and I think we found like a 300 megabyte video that they had texted.
Oh, wow.
So,
wow.
It happens. It happens.
Yeah.
Okay, so family, right? Working with the husband, working with the kids, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, when you're not on the same platform, you can feel it like it's pressure. Because and especially, I guess, were you ever in a situation where you kind of got left out of something, or like they all are happily whatevering,
Yes.
and then they look at you and you're kind of like, whoa, I'm not part, I can't do that,
Yeah, 100%. Well, and I'll tell you just kind of, it makes me giggle a little bit. I don't know if it'll make you laugh, but we have an indoor sauna. My husband likes to sauna, right? And he has an Apple Watch, and of course, monitors the heart rate and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and it's, water resistant, not waterproof, but water resistant and those kinds of things. And I'm a little bit nervous about going into the sauna, right? And so whose Apple Watch am I putting on that's way too big for my wrist? My husband's, right?
There we go.
My stuff doesn't do that, right?
Well, and then your data's going into his health app, and then it looks like he's got a different heart rate than he normally does, and or who knows what you're thwarting.
You are abnormal.
Exactly.
Well,
awesome. Well, okay, so that was where it all kind of came from. And what are we now? Tell me what happened. What happened?
So, of course, my cell phone plan and all that kind of stuff, I'm up for renewal, and I have been for, months, and I've been kind of just mulling this over. Am I ready to go and do the Apple thing? I have a trainer at my disposal. So it's sort of like the argument, why not? And again, just the peer pressure, and after a while you kind of get to a point where you're just ready to make the switch. And
let me ask before you go into the story, let me ask you this one thing, because I think this is part and parcel of the struggle, right? Because part of this first episode, this first conversation we're having, I want to make sure we're talking about what's leading up to a switch, or the switcher, being the switcher, committing to it. There's anxiety, right? Was it? I mean,
Huge.
you were anxious about it,
I'm still anxious about it. I'm somewhat on the other, not quite on the
learning.
other side.
It turns out learning is uncomfortable, right? If it's not painful, you're probably not learning much, right? If it's easy, that's not learning.
Exactly right.
But that anxiety of change. I mean, did you feel like it was just change, or?
No, there was lots of anxieties in there. I mean, first of all, you've got the change of, okay, I got to learn something new, right? That's probably the first place that a lot of us start when we think about like a switch like this.
Yeah.
The other thing is what am I going to lose? Right?
That's funny, because that's exactly kind of what I wanted to bring up. And that's one thing that we talk to people about when they've made the commitment to do it. One of the things that the individual has to emotionally deal with, right? And it's weird because we're talking about technology. It's not an emotional thing. It's tech, right? It's my phone. Like, I don't feel a certain way about. Yeah, you do. You feel a certain way about your phone.
Yeah, you do. Your whole world is in there.
And your tech. But especially when we're talking about Windows to Mac OS operating system, like the mobile device is a little bit different, but it's got the same aspect to it. And that's the idea that, like, if you use a Windows machine, you've trained yourself how it works. You need to know that there's a registry. You need to know it's the control panel. You need to know certain, things about the way that it works. And so you've got this big knowledge base in your head of how you use this device, and I'm good at it. Mm-hmm. And if I switch the technology, if I change the platform, if I change the device and the platform, not only do I now have a lot to learn, right? What you're talking about is like, now how do I learn how to use this new thing? But I'm also now taking that existing knowledge base and decommissioning it, right? Yeah. I've spent all of this time learning this and developing these skills and having this knowledge, and I don't want that to be useless. I don't want it to be a waste of my time. I don't want to necessarily replace it with a new knowledge base. And that's part of the struggle. That's part of the, people say, and it's easier, and it's whatever, and it's blah, 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 and all that stuff. But it's hard to let go of that previous amount of understanding, right?
Yeah, 100%. And for me, in my just experience in the world of things, my career, I want to feel effective, right?
Oh,
even
yeah.
On a personal level, you want to feel effective and competent to do what you need to do in your own world of things. And
well, I mean, you are a professional, and you know your stuff. I mean, we have you because of your expertise.
Oh.
And well, I mean, it's true, and but it's a challenge when all of a sudden you're trying to deliver or perform at this level, and all of a sudden and it's funny to say, you've created the stumbling block for yourself by agreeing to adhere to the peer pressure, like give in. I mean, how do you feel like you got taken at all? Is there any kind of like, God, they're dragging me across this finish line type of feeling? Or
I will tell you, like, I've already had moments of just like, oh, why did I do this? Right? Struggles and frustration, because there's a learning curve to it. Oh, yeah. But I've also had the moments of, oh my gosh, why didn't I do this a long time ago?
Right. Before I built this big knowledge base. I mean,
it's a big deal to say that my husband and I can get in the same vehicle and plug in to the same charging unit. Yep. Right. Yep. And not have to be like, okay, where did I put my cord?
Where's the cable?
Where's the cable? So there's already been moments of just ease. And I kind of now see that there's going to be more coming, but I need
Yep. Okay. So I thank you for sidetracking your story, just so I wanted to go a little bit deeper into that, because there is that emotional aspect to it, right? But also, once you switch and once you're there and once you have the new device, you get these kind of like pops of happiness, like I've done it. I'm on the other side of the, I've gotten up the hill and now I can roll down the other side without, pedaling or whatever, And so I want to get into some of that the next episode or whatever this ends up being. We talk again. I want to wind this conversation up, or this little interview, and just to leave people hanging. Did she switch? Did she not switch? We don't know yet. Did you switch?
I switched.
Okay, so she now has some Apple tech underneath her, and we're going to discuss some of that. We're going to kind of go through this process with Audrey and see where the pain points are, see if we can weasel out some little tidbits and some knowledge that can help other people that are dealing with the same thing. And so I want to wind this up with one question or problem that you've run into, and we're going to try to just give you at least one solution or explain one thing.
Just one?
Well, this episode. Every episode, we're going to try to make sure that we get at least one tidbit in. And some of the episodes may be training. Who knows? I mean, we can totally do that. But you asked me something earlier today that I went, oh, that's that thing that Windows people or Android people may or may not call it the same thing. Because one of the things you're going to run into is terminology, of course, right? We've already said in Windows, it's called the control panel, where here it's system preferences. So what was the thing you brought up earlier? Then we're going to see if it's terminology and or implementation, because I think it's both.
I'm going to hold those questions because I have another question, actually.
Oh, no. Okay. I really wanted to talk about this, but okay.
I know, but I've got a list going.
Okay.
But I realized that
it's your dime.
Some of that list is a little bit premature, because what I really want to know is, did I F up? Did I make a big mistake?
Switching?
No, really what I want to know is, like, okay, I've switched.
Okay.
And that's wonderful. And
What'd you do?
Thank God I have the trainer, right?
Yeah.
I didn't consult my trainer as to the device or devices to purchase.
Right? The shopping help, right?
Yes, the shopping, right? Because I ripped off the Band-Aid. I was just so frustrated. I've just got to make this switch. Oh my gosh, now there's all this stuff to learn. Yep. And did I get the right one?
Okay. So what did you get?
I got an iPhone mini and a smartwatch.
Okay, an iPhone 13 mini?
13 mini.
Okay.
Yep. And here's my why I got those.
Okay.
They were the smallest ones on the shelf.
Okay. For the watch, I think you're fine. I mean, really, as long as you got like the latest, the Series 5, I believe it, or Series 6, whatever the latest watch is.
How can I tell?
That's actually really hard to do. But if you bought it off the shelf at Apple, it would be the latest, greatest. So I don't think there's any way you could have biffed the watch concept.
Okay.
The phone itself, I mean, as long as you've got the 13, which is the latest version, then you can't really go wrong. What I see people do wrong is get not big enough hard drives. They don't get a big enough hard drive space.
Okay.
Right? So did you get a 128 or a 256 or a 512?
I don't know.
Don't know. Well, if you go into settings and general and about, there'll be a capacity option there. But honestly, I don't think they make them any smaller than 128 gigabytes these days. I mean, I know people with 32 gig phones and 64 gig phones, and that's not enough room for anybody. And so I don't even think they make a hard drive smaller than 128 gigs.
Is it this? It's not the software version. It's the...
Should be down at the bottom of the second section, I believe, capacity and available.
Capacity. Okay. Say again what I'm supposed to have. I got 128.
Okay. That should be enough.
Okay.
Right? But that's the one thing I always like, go a little bit, go a little bit bigger. You can always go a little bit bigger if you want growing room, elbow room. And a lot of times the question is, how many photos do you expect to carry? Or are you taking video?
Well, wait, doesn't all that stuff exist in the cloud, in the universe of things?
if you're going to take, here's an example. You want to take a video and you want it to be 4K, right? You want to do a nice high-level 4K, ultra-high-def video, and you need enough room on your phone to hold that recording before it can sync to the cloud and get optimized, right? And if you do even like a 1 minute 4K video, it could be 5 gigs, right? You go 10 minutes, it could be 100 gigs. Wait, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Now I'm out of space.
So you've got to watch out for some of that kind of stuff. But again, how do you use it? If you don't go 4K for the video and you just stay at 1080p, well, it should be fine, or maybe you don't go high def. Maybe you just do standard resolution, right? And so how you're going to use it kind of comes into play. But again, I don't know. And the other thing to think about is, is the screen big enough for you? That's really, and people want it fits in my pocket or it fits in my purse, but the question is the screen satisfactory for you? And that's the other thing we consider is, screen size. But you said you wanted the smallest and you got the smallest. So I don't think that's a problem. I don't think that's an issue at all.
Okay.
Okay.
So I did good.
I think you did fine. And also slow and steady. You know what I mean? Like you can upgrade in a year or two. Everybody gets a new phone every couple years. So just, this will get you going where you're going. Okay,
awesome.
So I'm going to go ahead and just wind this up. That wasn't the question I wanted. I still want to get that other question in, but we'll do that in our second episode. So hey, everybody, I'm Jamie. This is Audrey. This is the switcher, I guess I'm going to call it for now. And we'll see you next time we do another episode. Thanks, everybody. Hey, do you know why the iPhone was wearing glasses? Because it lost all its contacts. Hey, if you like this content, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and ring the bell so you get notifications about future episodes of jMac Fixes Everything.